Hi friends, how are you all today? And I'm back again. I'm Shraddha Pachauri here, and we are going to do a good new book review today again. So, this is for all my parents out there who struggle to spend time with their kids in this pandemic, lockdown, no school, and a lot of screen time and a lot of noise in the house. How can we engage our kids? So, books is the only medium where we can engage our kids, which is a fruitful medium actually. So the name of today's book is Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? Okay. So when you listen to the title of the book, what do you feel? The thing is, you are going to talk about animals or you're going to talk about sounds. So this is a book full of animals with lots of sounds that animals make. It's a very good book to introduce new animals to your kid and the sounds that they make. Now, this book is written by Bill Martin Jr. and is illustrated by Eric Carle. As Dr. Seuss was our last author, Eric Carle is today's author, and Eric Carle is a person who gives graphics to the book, the basic illustrations, the pictures that you see. Okay, and he is a lover of whatever he sees. He believes that God has gifted us eyes, and when we look everywhere, when we are able to see everywhere, we should always take something fruitful from that. And he presents lovely pictures in his books. Now this book is the sequel, that is the follow or the second part of to a brown bear, what do you see? So in that book, yes, reading about nature to children is indeed very enriching, because you are talking about nature, what role nature plays in your life, right? And it is very interesting. It's a very explorable ground where you can talk about lot many things to kids, and their natural inquisitive nature that they are having, which will feed those inquisitive nature of theirs. Now, so the book sequel, it is a sequel to the book Brown Bear, What Do You See? So here, basically, Bill Martin is, talking about the senses that we are having, the five main senses. The key to reading out this book loud is to get into the character. So when you are reading this aloud to your little bub, you have to get into the character. You have to become a flamingo, and you have to become a peacock, and you have to become a boa constrictor. Okay, and the animals, you have to play the animals, so they come to know that what kind of sounds these beautiful animals make. Now Bill Martin's this story is very playful in nature. Okay, he's combining all the animals, and he's combining all the colors and all the sounds that is around us, and it is beautifully illustrated by Eric Carle. Now, why was this book designed? It was basically designed to help toddlers identify wild animals, which generally we don't see around us. We can saw the is you can talk about cow, or you can talk about dog, you can talk about other animals, stray animals that you can see on the road. But what about the wild animals, and how do you give them that experience? Definitely zoo is one of the medium where you can actually show them those animals, but in certain conditions like this pandemic, when you cannot go out anywhere and you've got a toddler at home, then how do you introduce? So this is a wonderful book where you can introduce your little one to these beautiful creatures, the wild animals. Okay, and the noises that they make. And when you will read this book aloud to these toddlers, what do you expect? What will you expect from them? You will expect a lots and lots of noise. Okay, so they are going to enjoy this book like anything. Now, there's a way of reading this book. First, I'll introduce you to the book cover, which is a very important thing here. I have always told you that book cover and the illustrations that the book has to give is a very important part when you are selecting the book for your young one. Because first thing you have to remember, the aim is to create interest for reading. And little children, if there is lot of text in the book, it is not going to interest them, believe me. So the key funda to make them read is pick a book with less text and more pictures which they can see. नाउ अभी जो ये बुक आप देख रहे हैं उसमें आप देख रहे हैं कि सबसे पहले पेज पे यू कैन सी दिस ब्यूटीफुल पोलर बेयर. Okay, now when you show this book to them, talk about what animal they are seeing. Probably they don't know the name, but definitely they'll be able to describe it's a big animal and it doesn't look very friendly. It looks wild, or maybe it can hurt you because the claws, can you see the claws here? They are very sharp, they are pointed. So, what do you think? Is this a wild animal, or you can pet it? So, these natural questions you can put to your child when you are just introducing this book or the book cover. Now you can see that Bill Martin and Eric Carle have contributed to this beautiful book. When you open the first page, okay, of the book, you see this wonderful colors here. You can talk about these colors. You see how they are making these books for little children, where they make sure that they see all these beautiful colors. Okay, it is very important when you are choosing a book for a little one to make and look the book very interesting. It is illustrated by Eric Carle, as I told you. And now, when you go to this to the page here, and the first animal which you see is a polar bear. Polar bear, what do you hear? I hear a lion roaring in my ear. This is how you're going to read it for them. Roaring. You're going to roar with them, right? So they are going to sing with you. Polar bear, what do you hear? And suddenly you are a polar bear now. You're going to talk to them in a voice that a polar bear talks. See, we know as adults that animals cannot talk language, but to make it interesting we have to take up the character. We have to be the character that is there. We are a polar bear right now. I hear a lion roar in my ear. So lion roars. This is basically you have to teach them that a lion will roar, but they will definitely ask you, what does panda do then? What does a polar bear do then? What kind of noise do they make? So you have to do your background homework for this. Okay, so background check is very necessary because you're going to deal with kids. They can interview you anytime they like. Then comes the lion. Oh, he looks very ferocious. Talk about the colors, talk about the mane, talk about the mouth. You can talk about a lot of things. This picture talk is very important to them. When you talk about the picture to them, their imagination power naturally gets triggered. They try to imagine. So the next time you say lion, they are going to picture this lion in their mind. Then you ask them, what does a lion look like? They will give you the description the way they have seen it in this book. This descriptive images that they form in their mind is very important for them when they learn to start writing down, because these images will help them describe the pictures, the situations. The imagination that you put in your child is very important for the development of language, the level of language that you are expecting from your child, right? Now, here, lion, lion, what do you hear? I hear a hippopotamus snorting in my ear. So he's a lion. He has to be ferocious and he has to be angry all the time because he's a wild animal. Talk about the wild animal characteristics. What are wild animal? Why don't you find them in the neighborhood? Why they don't stray around, or why you cannot pet them? They will come up with answers, believe me, even if they don't know what wild animals are. But the books are a very good beginning for introduction of all the topics that you learn in school. And now there is this beautiful hippopotamus. See, so the color, the teeth, the tongue, you can talk about lot many things here about the hippopotamus. Hippopotamus, hippopotamus, what do you hear? I hear a flamingo floating in my ear. So although the hippopotamus is very big, he has a tiny voice and he's scary and he can open his mouth so big. talk about all these things to them, and they are going to enjoy, right? So remember, this book is a sequel to Brown Bear, What Do You See? So if this book interests your child, then definitely you can buy the next book or the previous book, and they have got a very good collection. So Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle have a very good collection together where illustrations by Eric Carle are beautiful. Now, one more thing, Eric Carle says that he thinks that whatever our eyes touch should be beautiful, tasteful, and appealing and important. Okay, so if you see books, or if you see tube light, or if you see sun, if you see trees, everything is beautiful around you. Talk about it to your children so that they can develop their vocabulary, they can develop their imagination. And these books are key, and they are windows to their imagination. It contributes a lot in the development of their imagination and their language. Young children, you can talk not only about animals. Yes, very important is you can not only talk about wild animals here or the sounds they make. You can also talk about the five senses that your child or as a human being you're having, right? So there is focuses on this books is like what you hear and what you see and what you smell. So here we are going to talk about five different senses. You can imagine the sounds that these wild animals make, and you can imagine what they are seeing and how they are describing. So while reading this book, pretend show is very important. You have to pretend, right? You have to pretend to be a polar bear. Ask them to pretend to be a hippopotamus, and they'll sing around and they'll dance around. So two, three times when you read, the fifth time they will be reading it with you. So I hope that this book review was really helpful, and I'm sure all the parents out there are going to love these books, and they are going to enjoy the reading of this book with their little bubs. Okay, thank you so much for being with me, and I promise to bring something really exciting next time. Thank you all, and see you soon.